This is the fifth video of the lecture series Optimization using Excel. In this video, we will solve a particular LP problem using Excel Solver tool. We have taken the same problem that we discussed previously in the first video where we formulated a problem using algebraic formulation. So as you can see, I have taken the same problem here. So just to restate the various components of this problem, the x1, x2, x3 portion was your decision variables, max z was your profit, total profit, which is the objective function. These are various resources, labor hours, wood and chemical. These are your resource constraints. Then there are limits for the maximum demand for the chairs, tables and desks. These are your bounds. And then there were two more specific ratio constraints, which were basically model specific constraints and cannot be classified in any particular category. And of course, finally there were non-negativity constraints. These type of problems are often known as product mix problems. And now let us see how to solve this problem using Excel solver. Now we will go to the Excel sheet directly from here. So this is my Excel sheet. I have copied this particular section from the slide so that you can make a one-to-one comparison between your algebraic formulation and Excel worksheet. So first of all, start entering the variable names here, chair, tables and desks. Note carefully that you don't have to enter x1, x2, x3 in case of spreadsheet modeling, because the idea is to use as much language as possible here so that the reports that we get will have meaning in terms of language also. So the number of phrase that you add here, then in the next row use profit, write per unit profit here, which is 500, 700 and 1000. Then write subject to here. Then here we will write the constraint names, like first one is labor hours, second one is wood, then chemical, max chairs, max tables and max desks. Then you enter this exactly as per the formulation, like see numbers are here 10, 10, 5, 1, 0, 0. These are two special constraints, ratio 1 and ratio 2. Those were there, 1, 1. So see what I have done here is simply I have written this particular column here also, here in the same order. Similarly, enter the second column 15, 20, 3, 0, 1, 0, minus 1, 1. See, you can match it from here. This one. Okay. So enter the third one 25, 25, 10, 0, 0, 1, 0 and minus 2. Okay, so your entry is complete. Now in this column you write the sign of the constraint, like is it less than equal to or what. Note that the first three are less than equal to, the next three are also less than equal to type, less than equal to, this one is also less than equal to, and finally this is greater than equal to. Then you write the right hand side. What is the right hand side? This particular column is your right hand side. So therefore 2000, 3000, 750, 100, 150, 175, 0 and 0. Okay, so the entry is complete here. Now you see we have to enter, this is your right hand side. Now we have to enter the left hand side as well. So what is going to be the left hand side? Left hand side is your 10 into x1 plus 15 into x2 plus 25 into x3. So therefore first we are doing products of these coefficients with the object decision variables and then performing the sum. So Excel has a built-in function called sum product for this purpose. So use sum product here, sum product of, see array, two, it can be done between two arrays, like this is your first array, here your x1, x2, x3 value will populate. This row is for the decision variables. So then you fix it. How to fix it? If you select this one and then press F4, function F4, then this will become fixed. What is fixed, that I will explain later on. And then this one. So note again the formula here, sum product between these two arrays, this blue one and red one. What is the blue array? Blue array is your decision variable, that is number of chairs, tables and desks. And what is red? Red one is the coefficient of the left hand side of first constraint, 10, 15 and 24. Sum product of this will give you the left hand side of the labor hours constraint. Okay, so now you copy this until the end. Now see what happened here. Since we had made this C3 E3 row fixed by pressing F4, when we copied this down, the copy function happened properly. Like if we didn't have done this, then instead of C3 E3 it would have been C4 E4, and that would be incorrect, and therefore we fixed the C3 E3 array here. Hope you understand. Now also you can copy this to this. When we copy this particular area here, it becomes your total profit. What is your total profit? 500 into x1, 700 into x2, 1000 into x3. That is done by sum product of these two. Think about it and you will conclude also in a similar manner. Okay, so now let us distinctively mark them. This is your objective. This is your objective function. These are your decision variables. These are the decision variables. And these are your constraints. Now, fortunately here you see in this particular problem, all the less than equal to types of constraints are together. Like first, all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 constraints are there. First 7 constraints all are less than equal to type, and only the last one is greater than equal to type. So this is a like special case, but sometimes it may so happen that these signs will be mixed up. Like first constraint will be greater than equal to, then maybe it may be less than equal to, then again less than equal to, then maybe again greater than equal to, then one constraint may be equal to, and like that. So in those cases always make sure that this types are sorted according to their sign. So for example, all the less than equal to constraints should come in one place. Then after that, greater than equal to. Then after that, equal to, like that. So less than, greater than, again less than, again greater than, this should not happen. That is what I mean to say. But here it is obviously already sorted from beginning, so we don't have to worry. Okay, so this is the formulation. Now let us see how to enter this thing into the solver menu. Just go to data and solver. Under solver, you see here, this is, I have done it before, so let us reset is now, it will become empty. After, if you click on reset all, it becomes empty. So that I did here. So now in the objective cell, what will you enter? You will enter total profit, which is this one, that is F4. Okay, now what is our objective? Our objective is to maximize the profit, so therefore you will select this one. Then in the variable cell, what is going to be entered? This is your variable cell, this is the decision variables. So C3 to E3, this is going to be the entry here. Then we have to enter the constraint. Now go to add. Now see, I told you that write one type of constraint together, all less than equal to together, all greater than equal to together, then all equal to type constraints together. So the benefit of doing that is you can make entry altogether, like see here, all less than equal to constraints are together. So I will select this one at one go, and then right side this one at one go. And what is the type of the constraint? Here in drop down menu you will get the type. So in this case this is less than equal to. So see, by making this one entry, I have made sure that all the first 6 constraints are entered. So what will happen if you make this types haphazard? Nothing will happen, everything will be fine. Just you have to enter every constraint separately. That will be little difficult or hazardous or time consuming. Otherwise, if you feel that that is good for you, you can do that. But this is a handy method of doing things. So that's it. So the first 6 constraints are entered, one is remaining, last one, this is greater than equal to type. So select greater than equal to, and this is this. So basically in this area, in this particular block, you will enter the left hand side, and here you will enter the right hand side, and this is the sign of the constraint. So again click add. So see, these are entered here. Now if you think that if you have made any mistake, then you can use the change. You select any particular constraint and go to change, then you will be able to make the changes accordingly. Now in your type of solver, this is a linear problem, linear programming, so use simplex LP and then click on solve. So once you click solves, see the solution has been already populated here, 80 shares, 80 tables and 0 desks. This is your optimal solution. Now there are two options, either you keep it like this and click on OK, or see there are 3 things here: answer, sensitivity and limits. These are reports. So let us click these 3. You may or may not click this is not a mandatory thing, but if you want to get some additional information, you get this from these 3 reports. So before clicking this OK, final OK, click on these 3 and then OK. Then you see these 3 reports will be populated automatically here. This was your original sheet, sheet 1. Then this is the answer report, this is your sensitivity report, and this is your limits report. So what are those reports and how to interpret those things, that we will discuss in the next video. The formatting is done in such a way that the answer report becomes easy to interpret. Like, see, here profit is coming, then final value. That means the final value of profit is 96,000. Then the number of chairs is 80. Number of tables 80. Number of desks 0. So anybody can read, if, even if he or she is a layperson, uh, he or she can read it very easily. Also see here, every constraint is written correctly, and which these informations that we will discuss later on, which information is for which constraint, is very easy to figure out from the answer report. And this is also true for the sensitivity report. Every time, if you follow this type of formatting, exactly this type of formatting, then you will get the answer report and sensitivity report in a beautiful, or in a legible and quite easily interpretable form in this way. So that's it for this video. Now let us go to the solver and discuss some of the important tips and best practices that we discussed during this formulation before we close the video. Now, as we have already completed the formulation and solution using Excel solver, now let us see some of the best practices or modeling tips that we already discussed during the formulation process. So first of all, we have to make sure that the types of constraint, that is less than equal to or greater than equal to, the similar types of constraints are clubbed together. So there should not be any mix up of greater than equal to or less than equal to or equal to. Similar types should be at the same place. So next point is, use the sum product function instead of doing products and sum separately. Use the sum product function. That will be a smarter way to calculate. The next one is, always follow standard formulation. So what does that mean? Meaning that, you see, our Excel model was like this, and this is also similar to our algebraic model that we discussed earlier. So exactly in the same form, I told you that I have kept the same order of the constraints, the same type of entry. There is no special table formation or any other formatting used here. So that is what I am trying to convey here. Use the same standard formulation for all the problems, unless you see any particular inherent benefit of changing the format, like making a particular tabular form or any other format. If it is not otherwise beneficial in any way, then use the standard formulation in every case. So when it will be beneficial, we will see later on in the later portion of this course, that in some case, like in case of transportation problems or in case of assignment problems, using a tabular form or a matrix form of these spreadsheets will be better to understand the result or the output. Otherwise, it is always better to use standard formulation. So that was the third point. What is the fourth point? Fourth point is, you always use constraint names. Don't forget this one. If you forget this one, there will be no problem. Excel will understand and solve exactly this one, but you will not understand afterwards, or anybody else cannot understand what is done in the spreadsheet. So always make sure that the constraint list or the constraint names are appearing somewhere for every constraint. Okay. And what is the last point? Last point is, follow this type of formulation. Like if you follow the entry that I made here, exactly in the same manner, then the answer reports that you will get will be meaningful. Meaningful English phrases will be populated in the answer report also. So that was the these are some of the best practices. Of course, I must tell you that even if you are not following any of these best practices, and you can just enter the numbers here in any form, just do the calculation correctly or enter the formula correctly, then Excel will go in a same manner and will give it correct solution. But the problem is Excel can do these things, but you cannot understand after the solution is populated. So therefore formatting is very important in case of spreadsheet modeling. So that's it for now in this video. So in the next video we will discuss how to interpret the answer report and the sensitivity report that we get using Excel solver output. And so that's it. Thanks for watching.